Well, a very, very happy Friday to everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Throw-In with Justin right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. I got a very, very busy, excited show for you guys. 2 hours here this morning. And, yesterday morning, I was kind of getting a little heated up as I start, exploring the storylines and the rumors and all that stuff that's headed into AEW over the last couple of days, and it's been a busy week. And I think there's a lot to be said when there's people that are putting in their inputs about everything that's happened and how should you handle situations about backstage locker room executive decisions. Here's my overall thought process, and I want to kick things off talking about some AEW as AEW Dynamites tonight. You got that next match in the tournament, the Grand Slam tournament, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. But when it comes down to a wrestling business, and like I said, I'm not a professional wrestler. I can't speak to you on that behalf. What I can speak to you on is based on the knowledge that I know and things that I've seen happen and hasn't happened. Okay. Now, I didn't grow up watching WCW, but you hear the stories, you hear the all the insights of what really took place. And one thing you could take away from WCW is, to their downfall, they had a lot of problems with wrestlers, all right, pro athletes that were involved in running the business while active on the roster. I think that was one of the biggest issues that took place, because then you started having, in this scenario, you had egos, okay, wrestlers that said, hey, listen, I'm in charge. I want it this way. I want the WCW heavyweight championship. I want to win this match. I want to make that guy lose. They have a huge say in what happens, and what ends up happening is these are big guys, these are big names, and if they don't get what they want, well, they're either out the door or they don't perform. So WCW ended up in jeopardizing and costing a lot of careers because of that factor. All right. When it comes down to AEW, I've always believed you should never, and I repeat, never have a active athlete, wrestler that is involved into your company. They need to be retired. They need to be finished with the company, no longer working for the company. And that's the way I'm going to stick by it. If they're active, they're going to start putting in their 2 cents and have a little bit of control. So when I hear these guys like Cody Rhodes at the beginning, I know the Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Chris Jericho. I just read something online this morning before the show, and they were talking about Chris Jericho wanting being named executive producer of AEW, and I think that's a little far-fetched, if you would ask me. All right, everyone is so, when Tony Khan start hiring business people to help behind the scenes, people run and say, "Oh, AEW is over with. They don't know what they're doing no more." Well, you know what? WWE has not had an active athlete on their roster running this program. Okay, Vince McMahon did television time from time to time, but he was well established long before he did any action in the ring. He has never once allowed the business aspect of the program to involve or to get in the way from what happens inside the ring. Last night, or throughout this past week, what happened at AEW All Out was not the first incident where locker rooms are having trouble. And it happens all the time. WWE sees the troubles all the time. They have troubles. They have complications. Locker room athletes don't get along in the locker room. And I think after, when I was looking more into the story, trying to see, okay, where was the sources coming from, to see that CM Punk were making comments about, certain, about AEW and whatnot. I don't blame the Young Bucks. I don't blame Kenny Omega. When they came into this foundation and wanted to start All Elite Wrestling, they wanted to come in. They wanted to have their perspective. They wanted to bring something new that was different from the WWE. They wanted to give the nation a different chance of a view of what professional wrestling is, especially what you see more locally around your town. Just getting warmed up here on a Friday. I apologize. When you picture, and they have all right. The problem I have, and the problem that I seek, is, AEW. They have allowed certain athletes to speak freely during live programs, during interviews and whatnot, and you're given these talented stars the freedom to go out to podcasters and get interviewed while under contract with AEW to basically spread the word. Okay, and what ends up happening is that they're going to say things that are maybe good for the business and maybe bad for the business. Okay. What MJF said on Wednesday night about loving WWE, it's a hit or miss. I think a lot of people will, come back and claim you never say anything about another company like that. Okay. You never put the other company over, which he put the WWE over on Wednesday night. All right. But I think of it two ways. I think of it as a way where it's good for business because you're getting the other company involved. I mean, I enjoy when you're starting. I mean, you look at the wars, right? Remember the Monday Night Wars, where WCW will talk about Monday Night Raw, and Monday Night Raw will talk about WCW. And that was fun times. But you got to watch your boundaries. All right, you got to know what's real, what's not real, what's all part of the game, the storyline, and what's not. CM Punk is notorious. He's done it in UFC and he's done it in the WWE, where he's going to go out and think that he's entitled to more than what he's capable of. I'm not saying CM Punk is a bad person. I'm not saying I'm not a fan of CM Punk. I'm not a huge fan. I'll tell you that. I mean, I'll respect him for what he's done and what he's tried to do. He has not been successful. I feel like he's came into AEW and everyone thinks that he's the top star. They made, at least the fans sure made him believe that, and that he was running the reins, and that was the problem. They decided that, hey, we're going to put the title on you, and I don't think that he deserves the title. I never did. I never thought that he, after beating MJF, that he should have been the new number one contender. I don't think he's earned that spot. He just earned that role. And, obviously injuries catch up to you. This is a guy who hasn't wrestled and, wasn't wrestling for a decade in a actual ring, at least known to the public. And, he comes in and he decides that he's going to come back, and he's still the greatest that ever was. And listen, I mean, like I mentioned yesterday on this program, AEW is a different type of wrestling than WWE. AEW is more fast-paced, more intensity, more chaotic. All right, they're trying to get all their moves in. It's a faster tempo, and I just don't think that CM Punk has what it takes to stand up with those guys. I'm not saying that He can't go throw in 15 minutes once in a blue moon, but that's the thing. It's once in a blue moon. CM Punk is not an everyday wrestler. He is, and when you do wrestle him and you do step in the ring with him, you have to go his pace. And I don't think that's good enough for AEW. He comes in here, I think he thinks he's entitled, and he comes in and, he says what he says, and you wonder why there's action being called. And, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, this is not the first time altercations have happened backstage. This has been multiple times. And WWE's had them too. Here's the difference is that Tony Khan is taking action, which I appreciate. It should never be tolerated. It should always be disputed. I don't know. There's going to be controversy because right now, according to all the sources, that right now only suspensions are handed out to a lot of to everyone that was involved. Probably about a good 10 people total that were involved. 10 AEW talent active rosters are involved. CM Punk is going to go into surgery. He's going to be gone for another 6 to 8 months from Sportscadia. At least that's where my source came from. If you have something else, please let me know. Will he be serving his suspension throughout that time? Is when he gets covered, will he be coming back? I think those are a lot of questions that AEW needs to decide over the next few months. And when he does come back, what type of role are you going to give CM Punk? Because I don't think he's representing AEW properly with the AEW championship. He's only held it for no longer than he's only held it for less than a month. You think about a guy who has won the title months ago, only had to keep it for like 2 weeks because he got hurt, and then yet again on Sunday at All Out, he ends up not only winning it, but he ends up getting hurt again, and he has to relinquish the title. So this is a guy who's also showed you that he's incapable of staying healthy, and he's going to get injured again. Well, why have a guy who is always up on the shelf with injuries hold your main title that you promote each and every week? So if I'm Tony Khan, the one thing that I will do. I've heard people come out and say this. I've heard other retired athletes. Eric Bischoff. I was reading a quote from Eric Bischoff, and he's questioning. He's like, "Why haven't you gone to?" And maybe Tony Khan has, but why haven't you gone to your veterans? Why haven't you gone to the Mark Henrys and to William Regal to determine exactly how they should handle this situation? But yet again, and it's like, you got to use your veterans, maturely. Why aren't you using your Arn Anderson or Sting to help decide or figure out exactly what's the best solution on handling these situations? Because these guys been there, they've done that, and this is a new group, and it's going to be a difficult, time to try to figure all this out, and this is not going to be the last of it. You're going to see backstage brawls will happen all the time, especially in an area where you have, equal wrestlers that have high different type of positions, more responsibilities, more authority. And I think that's going to also ultimately, I think Tony Khan needs to sit back and say, all right, exactly who's in charge and how are we going to handle this? Because Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks had one input. They're entitled to their input based off their position with AEW. And then CM Punk's going to be who CM Punk is and become and say what he wants to say. And that's not always a good thing. Man, that got heated up yesterday. And there's just more unveiling stories about what's going on as of AEW and the suspensions with the Young Bucks, Ace Steel, Kenny Omega, CM Punk, a few others, Christopher Daniels. And, it bothers me because these are talent rosters that you kind of, rely on selling out your shows. And now you got to move on from that, right? Because they're suspended. I don't know the details on the length of their suspensions. And when I come back, hopefully on Monday, and be able to tell you guys exactly what you guys are looking into. But it's going to be, this is a test for Tony Khan. This is, rocky waters, and he's going to have to deal with this dilemma first and foremost. And, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'll make my opinions when he's done with it, how he handles the situation. All right, so AEW is back in tonight. All right, I got a little late start today because when I first started the program, my mic was on mute. Yeah, I had to throw that in. But so I had to, start back in. So we're a few minutes behind schedule. So AEW Dynamite is tonight. We have a couple of things lined up for you, and I want to get into that here right now. Give me a second as I pull it up. I had the match card on my hand. A lot of news coming out over this past few days. And let me see. All right, so coming up here tonight on AEW Dynamite, you got you're finishing off the first round of the Grand Slam tournament. Like I told you yesterday, Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley got the first round bye of the Grand Slam tournament. And now you have Bryan Danielson beat Hangman Page. He will go on next week to face Chris Jericho. Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin will do battle, and the winner of that match will go on to face Jon Moxley next week. And so we'll look into that. If you're watching AEW Rampage tonight, let me make sure I get that corrected. You will hear from Samoan Joe, the Ring of Honor TV champion. Serena Deeb will take on Madison Rayne tonight. And then you have the Ring of Honor world champion, Claudio, taking on Dax Hardwood in a singles competition match. So a very impactful night on Rampage tonight for AEW to finish off the week. And we'll talk a little bit about SmackDown later on. I do want to talk a little bit more about hopefully Bryan Danielson and the future with everything that's going on in AEW. So we'll bring that up a little bit later. But hey, listen, football is here, man. I'm excited. And last night really showed a lot. It told a lot of stories between the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams. So I'm excited to talk about those highlights, get you ready around town. What are we looking for Cincinnati? It's supposed to be a wet weekend, but we have a lot of matchups going for you. Cincinnati's playing as well in football. Excuse me. And then you got the Cincinnati Reds over in Milwaukee beginning this 3-game series. So we'll dive into baseball a little later on and all that fun stuff. All right, we're just getting started here on a Friday, wrapping up our week right here on the throw-in with Justin. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Be sure to download us and leave us a comment down below. All right, we're going to take a break, take a time out, and when we come back, some highlights from last night's game between the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams. You guys are listening to The Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Spot, left knee was down. It's where the ball is when the knee comes down. Knee just a little bit, and Allin will boot, and he'll flip it wide open. The man who scored all the touchdowns in the playoffs, Gabe Davis, touchdown Buffalo. What a start to the season for the Bills.
You have to sell it. You have to make them believe for this to work over here. They have to believe it's a run. They sold it beautifully. Wide open. Gabe Davis right down the field picking.
3rd and 8. Bills bring 4. Stafford pumps, reloads, and fires. And who else? Cooper Kupp, who won the Triple Crown last year. Led the league in catches and yards and touchdowns. 29, Allin. That one is intercepted. And it's not his fault. It was in and out of the hands of Isaiah McKenzie and right into Terrell Lewis's hands. And the turnover is the only thing that stops Allin. Preparations work. He's aced the test. It's inside runs. The Bills debut, James Cook. The rookie out of Georgia lost the football. And the Rams say they have it. And they do.
on this defensive line.
Stafford going quick again, a bad pass intercepted. Dane Jackson with it. They rule him down by contact at the 33. But Stafford, who was tied for the league lead in picks last year, is always going to give the other guys 1 or 2 a game. And Jackson caught that one. Out of the hold of Sam Martin. Operation clean, and sneaking it inside the upright is Bass for the field goal.
But now much bigger guys inside for the Bills.
Up bottom of the screen. Stafford looking that way, throwing that way. Cup puts the toes down, in for the touchdown. Cooper Kupp. Thank you. We look forward to that. Bills have a full complement of timeouts. Allin strokes it in the middle, and it is pulled away and intercepted by Troy Hill. They were fighting for the ball. Pounded. Perfect. First and goal. Bills driving for the lead, and Allin throws. Touchdown inside. Isaiah McKenzie. Mishandled it earlier. Gives Deion Dawkins the big man spike. You guys talk about it all the time. 3rd and 7 to start the fourth. Roger Saffold back in. And Allin hangs it, throws it deep. Davis is open. Gabe Davis brought it in to the 6-yard line. Davis sets up first and goal. They go over the top.
And it was a great play by Jalen Ramsey, too.
You got it. 3rd and goal. Allin keeps it, pumps, runs, breaks the plane. Touchdown, Buffalo. Josh Allin took care of it himself.
This is the reason every fantasy player out there drafted Josh Allin. They had it completely covered. They did a beautiful job. They got everything. He does the Ben Roethlisberger pump fake not once but twice.
43. Stafford versus Kupp. It's high and it's intercepted. Off the deflection. It's one of those safeties. Jordan Poyer with the pick. The second of Stafford tonight. 34. Allin stepping up and now floating it downfield, and Diggs is behind the secondary. Stumbles, but brings it in. Buffalo touchdown.
On the outside, that's Jalen Ramsey, and I think he was expecting, this is called a quarters coverage. I think he was going to expect some help by the inside safety and just simply let Diggs go right by him. I don't know if he was trying to guess that he was going to stop and come back to the boundary, but that was no contest. And there's only a handful.
They're always back there, and it's hard to get behind him. This is deflected in the air, a 3rd interception into the hands of Boogie Basham. Stafford goes for the tackle and makes it, but another Rams turnover. Turns out the lights on this one, and a flag at the back end of it.
Hey, she's invited.
It's right. Talk ball with her. 2nd and 6. Zach Moss lost the football. Moss trying to fight for the extra yards. We'll see who's got it on the bottom of the pile. Ryan Bates down there fighting for Buffalo. The Rams were in there as well. And the Rams got it. The Buffalo Bills make a massive statement in the kickoff game, sacking Matthew Stafford 7 times. And Josh Allin, leading rusher, rushes for a touchdown, throws 3. And the Bills Mafia will enjoy this.
All right. I don't know how that really went as perspective wise on the air here, but that was the highlight coverage from the Bills and Rams game last night. A little disappointed. I kind of went out there yesterday to say that the Bills had a little bit more intensity coming off, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs back in the divisional series last season. Obviously the Rams more in a celebration mode by winning the Super Bowl last year. Coming in, you knew that Matthew Stafford was having trouble with his elbow. You saw the sleeve on it, and boy, I tell you, 7 sacks given to Matthew Stafford last night. Really, just not so great. 3 interceptions given. I mean, Josh Allen had 2 interceptions as well, so it was a turnover game. Usually you think the first games of the season is kind of there's nothing. You don't want to say too much about how the season's going to go for one team. But for the Rams, man, it almost showed up as if they didn't show up. Jalen Ramsey got dominated by Stephon Diggs all night long. It was just terrible. I mean, you saw great plays from Aaron Donald, and then it was a little salty to see Von Miller over on the other side of the field. Tough loss for the Rams, though, and, I don't know what we could say. How much of it has to do because there's no Odell Beckham Jr. You're really relying on some of your younger guys to come up. Cooper Kupp, 13 receptions, 128 yards with the touchdown. But then you look at guys like you needed guys like Darrell Henderson, Ben Shorenick, Allen Robinson, all to step up, and they just didn't quite get on a roll. Some of the Rams complications in last night's game. So the Bills won 34-10, and now listen, it's the taste of football. Football is here. The NFL is here. That means Sunday we have a bunch more games. Talking about the Browns and the Panthers and 49ers and the Bears, the big one, the Steelers and the Bengals here. So expect after every game with the Cincinnati Bengals, we air just like the Cincinnati Reds. We are playing highlights. We're planning on playing highlights for the Bengals too. So I know that may be time consuming if you haven't watched it. We want to break that down, give you highlights, give you thoughts and opinions and all the fun stuff. But it was definitely a difficult night. Defense was on point for both teams, especially for the Bills. It's just the Bill, and then the Rams just couldn't get nothing going offensively. They were really shut out. So tough loss. But hey, football is here. Cincinnati Bengals up next. They play Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1 p.m. We're looking at all those other games. And coming up today, matter of fact, I want to just kind of take this time and promote this, is that we're working on creating a week, 2 episode a week podcast called The Football Talk with Justin here. And it's just going to be a simple podcast that's going to be uploaded audio style, recorded throughout the week, and just kind of going over the highlights and the predictions, just kind of like what I did yesterday, where I kind of gave you my predictions over the division, the standings, and the weeks. Kind of doing that, covering all the news highlights, just an podcast just for the NFL, right, throughout their season. So expect that episode to be brought up. I did it yesterday before the game. It was actually a last-minute decision. I ended up stopping what I was doing to record it. Ended up, instead of being able to upload it, I had to, wanted to watch the game, and then they got late at night and having to take care of this show, today. So after this show, I'm planning on posting that. So if you guys are interested, let me know, and I'll send you guys the links, and hopefully that gets started here shortly. But yeah, NFL's here. Feels good. Kind of intrigued. I kind of watched the back half of the game. Wasn't too pleased. Kind of started tuning out when you knew the Bills, were running away with this. It seemed like every time Matthew Stafford got down the field, they had some nice runs, some nice drives, but it seemed like every time they got down the field, Stafford would throw an interception or something would happen where they couldn't get any more points on the board. But other than that, I wouldn't take this for a grain of salt. Buffalo needed this week 1 victory. They had a shortened week this week, due to Labor Day. You think about everything that has inspired, and I think Buffalo needed to win this one first game. And I don't think that this game particularly hurts the Rams for losing. I just think it's a little salty, maybe being personally for a Rams fan. 31-10 was the final score. for the NFL. All right, we're going to step away. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about other games going around this weekend in the world of sports, such as the Cincinnati Bearcats taking on Kennesaw State. Someone has to walk away with the victory. And then we'll also dive into a little bit of high school football that's coming up tonight. A couple of really good games in the Cincinnati area. If you guys are out and about, you guys want to catch a high school football game, man, I love those. All right, we're step a break. Continue here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. 9:43 here on the Throw-In with Justin on this beautiful Friday morning. Thank you guys for tuning in. This hour of the Throw-In is given to you thanks to StreamYard Studios. Create your podcast, YouTube videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews. Try out the free version today at StreamYard.com, the proud home of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right. It's a Friday. We're just wrapping up. I can start pulling out holiday stuff already. I know it's September 9th. Here's my deal. All right, so I kind of want to talk about this. I have, I got two kids, and I get them, me and their mother are separated, and I get them over the weekends, at least the majority of the time. The last couple years, I've been doing holidays where I started decorating in October. What I come to find out with myself is that I love holidays more than I think I do, especially around this time of year. And I've already told you all this week that when school started, when high school football began, when college football began, and when the NFL began in September, right? September is my holiday. Once Labor Day hits, it's holiday season in my books. You got to enjoy football each and every weekend for the rest of the year. That is holiday talk for me. And, so I was like, last couple of years, usually come October 1st, I'm like, all right, let's get Halloween stuff out. Let's get the fall festival stuff out. Let's start decorating. And I'm like, and I sit to myself and I'm like, my kids, I only get my kids over the weekend. And that's not enough time to enjoy, the decorations. I love to decorate, put pumpkins out, put, the autumn leaves, put the scary ghouls and ghosts and goblins out, I'm big on that stuff. And, same thing for Christmas. And so I was like, okay, so this year, this morning, matter of fact, when I woke up, and I've been thinking about this last couple of days, but when I woke up, I'm like, all right, so I sit out the tote, and we'll be over this weekend, matter of fact, we'll be putting more displays out, and it's going to feel for the next 2 months in the holiday mode, holiday spirit. And I'm already ready. I'm already watching all those Halloween movies. I think the first one we watched earlier this week was Beetlejuice. So can't wait to start doing that on a daily basis. But as I mentioned also, okay, before the break, is that NFL's back in session, but that's not all what we have. We have other sports, Cincinnati Bearcats, and man, they picked up a tough loss last week, 31-24 over Arkansas. The good news is that they get to come home, and if you have ESPN Plus, you'll get to watch their game tomorrow, September 10th, at Nippert Stadium at 3:30 p.m. And maybe it was the time zone. Maybe starting at 1 o'clock just didn't get to them. They'll have a chance to start play against Kennesaw State on Saturday. And Kennesaw also lost their game against Samford at Samford, 27-17, back on September 1st. So this is going to be a good game. I think I really have confidence that Cincinnati is going to walk away with the victory. I think it's a little it kind of hurts a little bit, the fact that the Bearcats are not ranked. Obviously, losing last week, Arkansas moved up 3 points from 19 to 16 this week. And Kennesaw State, they're not ranked either. It's going to be. I'm going to probably say this now. Even if somehow Cincinnati could finish the season with only 2 losses, then most likely will not be ranked the rest of the season. I think that was the one and only chance to stay in the rankings. You know, it's a bummer because I know college football is, you know, they have their favorites. They will always have their favorites. You know, and they're always going to be ranked. And it's one of those things where you don't even, you know, you already know where you're going to be placed at before you even get the chance. The same thing with NCAA basketball is that it doesn't matter who you're playing or how good you think you are. I mean, you could go undefeated and you still don't get ranked. So, taking a look at coming into Friday's rankings, and this is all through the NCAA website. We'll talk about college football rankings here. Alabama comes in at number 1, Georgia at number 2, Ohio State at number 3, and Georgia and Ohio State flipped spots after, even though Ohio State won their game last week. Michigan's at number 4, really brought up from the previous week. Clemson was ranked number 4. They moved down to number 5. Texas A&M stays at 6. Oklahoma moves up to 7. Notre Dame was at 5, but with the loss, they moved down to 8. And Baylor's at number 9. And Southern California is at number 10. You look at some of the other teams, you know, that are 1-0, 0-1. I just don't quite get. Oklahoma State, Florida's in the mix, top 25. I mentioned Arkansas. Pittsburgh is also in number 17. They just stood still. It's interesting how Arkansas beat Cincinnati. They both, Arkansas and Pittsburgh won, and Arkansas moved up 3. NC State's in there at number 18. Tennessee is the new team, though, that wasn't ranked, that was moved in to number 24. Taking a look at some of the games here in college football this week. I know there was one that popped up. Taking a look at tonight, though, Louisville is over in UCF. That kickoff is at 7:30, and then you got Boise State taking on New Mexico at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Number 1, Alabama will be taking on Texas on Saturday, high noon Eastern. Football, Arkansas State will take on number 3, Ohio State. Michigan will play Hawaii. There was a game, first-ranked Baylor takes on BYU. This is going to be the all conferences. There we go. All right. And then here's the one I was kind of intrigued about. If you guys take a look tonight, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., if you have nothing going on, number 20, Kentucky, will take on number 12, Florida. So if you guys are looking to watch some really intense football, obviously, you know, for me, it's going to be that. All right, let's watch for Saturday Showdown. I really don't have nothing going on until about 3:30 until Cincinnati kicks off. And then right afterwards, I'll probably check up and tune into Kentucky and Florida. Just surprising to see how good Kentucky is going to be this year, being ranked. And I guess if you're in the Cincinnati area, if you're in Kentucky area, be happy that Kentucky's ranked in the top 25. Be happy that Ohio State's ranked in the top 25. Hopefully with a couple of wins that, you know, just a little prayer, maybe get Cincinnati back in the top 25 again. So, you know, there's still very, you know, a lot of great football going around when it comes down to college on Saturday. Some stuff to really get excited, talk about. Like I said, the weather is not supposed to be on the Friends side of things tomorrow or Sunday. So if you guys are headed out to any of those games at Nippert Stadium or at Paycor Stadium this weekend, be careful. Then we get down to the night where the weather may be a little bit more appetizing. Couple of high school games coming on locally, and you know, already 3 weeks into it, and you got, you know, I'm looking just more towards the better matchups. Washington versus Minford. We also got I'm just kind of scrolling through here. If you guys have any games, let me know down in the comments. If you have any games you guys suggest to keep an eye out for. Beaver Creek versus Springboro is also 2-1, both of the records coming into tonight's game. That kickoff is at 7. You also got undefeated Piqua versus Xenia, if I'm saying that correctly. A lot of weird names. South Dearborn versus Connorsville, both 3-0 on the season. Union County versus Hagerstown. Kind of just still checking here, so bear with me. I'm just kind of scrolling down. You guys can find all the scores and highlights on the Max Preps in your area. Newport takes on Holmes. You got the 3-1 Dixie Hikes taking on number 13 ranked Covington Catholic. That's tonight at 7 p.m. That's going to be a very good game down in Kentucky. Matter of fact, it's probably about like a 5-10 minute drive from us. Number 19 Beechwood takes on Simon Kenton. 2-1 Simon Kenton takes on the undefeated Beechwood High School. And it's interesting. You look at the Cincinnati area and the Northern Kentucky area. Beechwood comes in at number 19 for ranking wise in the state. Think about hundreds and hundreds of teams are in Ohio. Number 4 Fairfield, who's undefeated, takes on Sycamore tonight. Number 23 Withrow, 1-2 on the season. It's going to be fascinating to see them remain at the top 25. Number 10 Baden is in the local area. The biggest game here, number 11 Milford takes on number 17 Anderson. That's going to be a primetime game coming up at 7 p.m. tonight. Number 15 La Salle takes on Trinity at 7 p.m. Ranked number 6 Kings takes on Loveland at number 7. Number 16 Mason takes on Coleraine. Number 25, Colorane's 0-3. Number 8, St. Xavier takes on Penn, and they're also 1-2 on this season. Number 18, Springsboro, told you earlier, takes on Beavers Creek. Number 2, Lakota West takes on Oak Hills. Number 22, Edgewood takes on Bishop Fenwick. A lot of great high school football games this weekend. If you guys are getting off of work early, you guys are getting out of town early, whatever the case may be, you guys can't get out to a college game or the Bengals game this weekend, a lot cheaper, a lot more entertaining to look at some of these games in high school in the local area. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to head out, get out for work tonight, go out to a high school game, support the local community, these local kids and athletes, and it'll be fun. Very inexpensive, and it's just great football, and that's what Cincinnati's all about. Just having great sports teams, and you got to go on and support these local these local sports teams. If you see Cincinnati or Kentucky playing well, and then it comes up to the NFL, and these kids, these kids are the kids. These kids are the next NFL stars. There's hundreds of schools, thousands of high school players, and one day, just one day, you may see someone coming out of Beechwood that's playing for the NFL, maybe even playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. And it ties a lot into those connections. I remember growing up and playing high school in my day. It was a big deal. You get the pro teams going out there checking on you, the college teams going out there, scouts going out there to teams. And so who knows if you have the next Tom Brady in that fact, playing high school football for your team, right? For your school, the local community. So go out there if you get a chance this weekend, check them out. If even if you're not in the Cincinnati area, there's high schools everywhere. California, go, if you're listening to this, go check out a local high school football team and support. Just enjoy a good football game. Armchair Booking also mentioned, don't forget, number 15 Western Brown taking on Jackson on the road. It's going to be a good one. Let me see if I could pull that one up pretty fast before break. See, I didn't. Just didn't. These were Fridays, See if I have it here. I have, matter of fact, it's not number 15. Western Brown is number 14. They're 3-0. They're taking on Jackson, who's 1-2 on the road at 7 p.m. That will be kickoff. And you can find all the highlights and updates. See, I mean, I work at night. I can't follow these games. I can't go out and watch them. But call-ins will be providing score updates of this game right here on the Max Preps. If you go to maxpreps.com. A couple other ones as Lakeland takes on Winter Haven, who's 1-0. So a lot of great high school football. I'll be checking out a couple of the games while I'm at work. Be excited to come back and talk to you about those highlights over the weekend. All right, let's come back. Let's kick off hour number 2 with some baseball highlights. Cincinnati Reds pulled off the victory last night with the comeback and much more right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
We go to the third. Nick Senzel to lead things off. Here's a looper, shallow left, racing in half, still coming. Backhand diving catch, beautiful play. That's going to be the catch of the game.
It was all about that first step understanding and realizing he had been jammed. Attaboy, Hopper! And make everything happen.
PJ Higgins is up. Cubs were 1 for 10 last night with runners in scoring position. In the center, Friedel.
Good play.
To load up. Catch. Horner racing. Home sliding. Head first in there. 1-0 Cubs on the sac fly from PJ Higgins. Velasquez has been slumping lately. Runners going. He strikes out. Throw to second is, I think it hit him. And Rivas is going to move to third.
But there's going to be called interference because Velasquez kind of tumbled a little bit on home plate. I don't think David Ross is going to be too happy about this call. It's the back. It's a tough call. But hey, the Reds get out of it.
Yeah, that's the inning.
Sessa gets out of it. Kind of got into a little pickle right there with Cubbies 1-0. Just an absolute legend when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds and who he stands for.
Lifted to center. Velasquez measuring it. It's another 1-2-3 inning for Adrian Sampson. He's done that back-to-back frames. Mid-6, Cubs leading by a run.
Wrigley Field, beautiful. You get any better than this?
Bodie down on 3 strikes. And a throw to first to complete it. Luis Sessa has struck out 8. Right center, Friedel running it on and not coming up with the baseball. Suzuki ends up at second. Friedel having trouble with the sunshine on a Thursday afternoon. And that's it for Luis Sessa. I mean, it's a bummer for him. Sessa is done. Cubs hitters are probably like, phew,
Yeah,
that's great.
outstanding job by Sessa.
From Mil Reyes with a man at second and 2 down. Base hit to right. This is going to drive in a run. Suzuki around third. He'll score. Cubs lead 2-0. Reyes going the other way, Ron. I know you're smiling right now.
Kyle Farmer leading off the 7th for Cincinnati. Kyle Farmer giving that one a ride. Deep left. Tap at the wall. Watching it go. Kyle Farmer muscles up and puts the Reds on the board. Go for it.
Wait out! Be someone out!
10th of the season for Farmer.
That'll be it for Samson, though. One mistake. That's all he made today. He's getting a nice ovation here from the Wrigley faithfuls.
Spencer Steer is up. Bases loaded. 2 outs. And the pitch.
3-1. Oh! And he walked in the run. We are tied.
1 down, tie game, 8th inning. Here is Seiya Suzuki coming up. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Swinging a drive, left center field and deep. This ball's got a chance. Gone! Home run to left for Seiya Suzuki. Cubs lead 3-2.
On a big swing of the bat for the Cubs and a big swing of the bat for Suzuki.
Mark Leiter Jr. with a chance to nail down a save. Leiter Jr. comes back 1-1 to Barrero. He butts it in the air, foul. Diving backhanded catch by Rivas. What a play. Rivas, the first baseman. Beautiful catch by Rivas.
Now Alejo Lopez. Senzel still at first with 1 out. Lopez swings and drives it to the right center field gap. That is down, and that is going to be cut off in the alley, but it gets all the way to the ivy. Lopez around second. Senzel will score. Lopez into third with a game-tying triple.
India left side gets through. Reds grab the lead. It's 4-3. Third hit of the afternoon for Jonathan India. Ian Jabot into the game for the Reds. Warner into shallow left. Farmer. Oh! GPS on point.
What an absolute play.
That's Barrero bringing it down. See if he does it again. Ian Jabot. Check over to third, and he got him. Game over. Jabot picks up his first career save, and the Reds hang on. 4-3 your final score.
And those Cincinnati Reds took the series over the Chicago Cubs this week. And it was a really good pitching matchup between both teams. Sessa went 5 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 2 runs, no walks, and 8 strikeouts, as Sampson went in for 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, and 1 strikeout. And, key thing about them is the lack of errors. And so the Reds went into Wrigley Field, got 2 out of 3, and I think that's to start the way to finish this season. Taking a look at some of the other scores that went around town over yesterday is I told you about that doubleheader with Milwaukee, and boy, San Francisco went into Milwaukee, and it just maybe showed like no one showed up for San Francisco. Milwaukee took the first game 2-1, and Milwaukee took the second game 4-2. Philadelphia also ends up losing 6-5 over Miami. The Minnesota Twins avoid the sweep by beating the Yankees 4-3, 14-2 against Oakland, and Washington 11-6. As we get ready for this weekend, a lot is to happen. Listen, it's not just the Cincinnati Reds, but Nick Lodolu will be on the mound tonight for the Reds as they head into Milwaukee. They'll be taking on Jason Alexander. First pitch is going to be at 8:10. And give me a quick second here. Can he give you what the weekend looks like? Just bear with me. Thought I had all this stuff ready. Apparently not. But a couple of games. One of the games that I was already paying attention to for this weekend is that the Padres are going to be home to the Dodgers. And I told you this back on Wednesday that if you are the Padres who are trying to muster in, into the playoffs, and they're looking, at a good chance, but they have to continue. And they play the Dodgers a handful more times. Now, they had a bad weekend last weekend. They have to come into tonight, and they have to, perform again. Now, tonight, Sean Manaea for the Padres was supposed to get the nod, but according to his last outing back on Saturday, wasn't so good. So, according to reports, Manaea was going to be sitting out. Dustin May would get the mound for the Padres, for the Dodgers, and then Mike Clevenger would get the nod for the Padres over there in San Diego. That's going to kick off a 3-game series. San Francisco goes into Chicago, and so right now we want San Francisco to win. All right, I'm pretty confident that St. Louis is going to have a series to remember with Pittsburgh. They begin a 3-game series. You look at also the Philadelphia Phillies and Washington Nationals that they kicked off like a 4-game series yesterday. They'll continue that tonight. And then you're also looking into, like I said, the key game tonight with the Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers. And like I mentioned, one, you want to be better. You always want to try to be better than the next team. All right. So, you want to finish off the season strong. You got a few weeks left. You also want to try to, I made a personal goal for these Reds to come across and finish above the Chicago Cubs. Now, the Chicago Cubs sit 57-80, and the Reds are sitting 55-80. I don't think that is too far of a stretch, considering that they will play the Cubs 6 more times by the end of the season. Okay, but then the last thing is, all right, Milwaukee hasn't been playing really well baseball. They come into the nice game 73-65. All right, you take a look into the standings just in the division alone, and they are currently 8 games back of St. Louis. Okay, and then you look into, so you don't want them to catch up. And then on top of that, you look into the wild card. Milwaukee is that runner up here. All right, Atlanta has 11-game comfortable lead in the wild card. San Diego Padres have a half a game lead over Philadelphia, and then Milwaukee's 2.5 games back. Well, I believe the last thing you want is Milwaukee finding a way to get into the playoffs. And like I said, if you're the Cincinnati Reds, it wouldn't be nice to play a little bit of resurrection for some of these teams. If you can cost Milwaukee a chance at the postseason, I think you've done your job. I think you've done your job very well. And you have a chance to do it with Milwaukee compared to St. Louis. And, St. Louis always gives you trouble. And I think you have a better chance of sabotaging a playoff opportunity for Milwaukee. So if you are the Cincinnati Reds, there's something to look forward to playing today. You have a 2-game winning streak going on. You're in a comfortable spot. You're 55-80. Obviously, I doubt that you're getting to 500, but you're playing 5-5 baseball. Milwaukee's playing 5-5 baseball. Someone has to win the series. Wouldn't it be nice if the Reds won the series? Both teams coming into today on a 2-game winning streak. So here's a perfect matchup. And Milwaukee's going to bring their A game. Cincinnati, you got nothing to lose. So we'll take a look at that as well. Nobody has yet clinched a playoff spot or clinched a division. We will keep out for that. I'm looking forward to this weekend where a playoff spot is supposed to be clinched. I mean, you kind of can't imagine that the Dodgers, for any reason, don't make the playoffs. I mean, they would have to lose. I mean, even if they lose the rest of their games, they still make the playoffs. Dodgers still hold a comfortable lead, 94-42. Mets are right behind them, 47-51. The Cardinals are 81-57. The Atlanta Braves are 86-51. The Padres and the Philadelphia Phillies are both in the mid-70s. Over there on the American League side, all right, 88-49 sit the Houston Astros. The Yankees finally moved upon the 500 marker to 83-55. The Cleveland Guardians sit at 70-65. They're 3-7 over the last 10 games. Pittsburgh. Take a look at the wild card right now as of today. Tampa Bay and it sits at 77-58. About 8 points above the Seattle. Seattle sits at 77-60. And then Toronto sits that last wild card spot, 76-60 also. Baltimore's 4.5 games back over the Toronto Blue Jays. Minnesota and Chicago are 7 games back of that series. So as we look into the weekend, you got Baltimore that are taking on the Boston Red Sox. So what the Baltimore Orioles are looking to do is to finish off the Red Sox possibility of playing in the postseason this year by taking the series. Minnesota's in Cleveland, so they're looking to have a try to take that lead over there. Chicago's over in Oakland tonight in that 3-game series. And then you take a look at that wild card, 83 New York Yankees, Tampa Bay. I think better off you're trying to beat that division, get that second seed. Tampa Bay gets a chance in New York tonight with playing the Yankees. Then you take a look at the Dodgers playing the Padres. New York Mets over Miami, St. Louis at Pittsburgh. Atlanta's going to have the work cut out for them playing Seattle, and Philadelphia is hosting Washington. So that's kind of where we're looking at in the playoff race at this moment. So we'll keep you guys updated. I'm excited for this weekend. Games to look out for this weekend, as you guys mentioned, was, we just got done going through the wild card, and Cleveland, Minnesota. I think that's going to be a good game, good series. Like I said, the Minnesota could be taking the division right at after this 3-game series that they have starting tonight. You also got I'm also saying Atlanta and Seattle, good kind of wild card postseason play at this moment. Obviously, if you're Atlanta, you want to win the division. If you're Seattle, you're just trying to set your case, get that number 3, that first seed in the wild card spot. Padres, Dodgers, also another good game. So there's plenty of baseball to go around, and there's plenty of baseball to talk about. But with that being said, though, all right, we still have a lot more to come, because you got wrestling tonight, you got Friday Night SmackDown tonight, Rampage tonight, high school football, if you're able to get out to a game, college football tonight, a great weekend full of sports. All right, we're going to step away for a second. We're going to come on back and give you more news, updates, and highlights. And I talked about this earlier this week, right, about Triple H and about how, is this a temporary thing, or is this a long-term thing of him being in charge? Where we saw another executive producer being hired to kind of taking the load off of Hunter. We'll talk more about that still to come. Taking you guys up until 11 o'clock here on a Friday, right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, talking to some good friends over there at TNC Sports Talk at the actually Armchair Booking podcast. Steve Barber commenting down in the comments, and we thank him. And during at the top of the hour, he threw in a name for high school football that I had to just kind of throw up. He said the quarterback from Western Brown is leading the nation in passing yards this year as they approach week 4. And I was like, all right, let me take a look into that. So for the last couple of breaks, I've been taking a look into it. And Western Brown's quarterback is Drew Novak. All right, he is a senior from Mount Orb. He's 6'6", 210 pounds. He's supposed to graduate in 2023. He wears number 2. Overall, he's 3-0. And he's ranked number 58 in Ohio. And right now, his stats, just a comparison to the rest of the nation, right, to the nation's average, is 1,069 yards. He has 9 touchdown passes. He averages about 356 yards per game. 59 completions, 88 attempts with 2 interceptions. It's 10 times above average than the rest of the nation to what he puts up, to what the nation is supposed to put up. And there's nothing but great stuff working about as he heads into week number 4 to play Jackson. Kid to follow. Definitely a kid to follow this season. Like I said, and it goes back to my proven point. Armchair Booking says he's also number 8 in the country so far this year. So I'm actually just getting this just straight. Maybe he is. Maybe I'm actually just getting this straight from I'm getting this straight from the Max Preps, which is that covers all of high school football, baseball, basketball, and whatnot. According to what I'm getting and his stats, he's an Ohio ranked number 58 out of the entire state. out of all the players in the entire state. Maybe he's ranked number 8 in the local area. I mean, I'm just saying this is a kid to look out for. You know, I don't want to make any promises, any dead end promises to this kid. But you know, this is what I'm trying to talk about. You know, if you have nothing to do on a Friday night, if you're not caught up watching Friday Night SmackDown, AEW Rampage, and you guys want to watch football, but maybe it's too expensive to go out to a college game because I know how expensive those could get. Maybe it's too expensive to go out to a football game, because NFL game, because you know how expensive it is. And trust me, with the Bengals winning, with how the Bearcats played last season, it's going to get even more expensive around here when it comes down to going out to football games. But when you go out to it kind of sucks when you have the Bearcats in town, when you have the Bengals in town, and you can't go. You got stuck watching them at home. Can't be a part of the fun. Go out to a high school game, because there's guys like Drew Novak who plays for Western Brown, and Mount Orab fans should be happy. You know, the community should be happy to go out and support the kid on a night-to-night basis. And these aren't long drives. All right, they're not driving 3-4 hours away to play a football game. I mean, they normally go, they normally try to play, usually, local, other local high school teams, and, based off of that. So, it's not like you're having to go too far out of your way to go follow this team and this season out on the road. Also, they're going over to Jackson. I don't know where necessarily Jackson is and how far that is away. But that's, there's guys like these, Drew Novak out there, to go watch for, because who knows, he could be the next Peyton Manning for all we know in this world. He could go get he could go get a college contract, play for 4 years for, I don't know, Ohio State, Illinois, I don't care, and then go off to the NFL. Maybe by the time he comes up, maybe he could be the backup quarterback for Joe Burrow, maybe fill in that spot. Every kid dreams to be in the NFL, especially at the level that he's at. And even once in my time, when you play baseball, you play football, you wrestle, you always think about becoming a professional person. So we'll keep an eye on him, and definitely keep an eye on him and give you updated stats in the upcoming weeks about how what's going on in the high school football range. But hey, listen, NFL is back still. And before we talk a little bit more about the NFL, let's also, talking about, like you said, been down in the chats with Armchair Booking. Great guys. I kind of want to just talk about them a little bit more today, like I do any other day. These guys, we started talking to these guys about last year, about, I want to say November-ish of last season. Last year, Steve Boyd. Never met Dwaylon Davis in person. We only met, Steve Barber. He went out to a couple of NWF shows. He's been on our, on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel before, and I've been honored to be on his show a few times. But all of their shows that they have going on. But talking about Armchair Booking Podcast, two guys just sitting down talking about nothing but professional wrestling. More of a criteria talk conversation. They really go down deep into depth. And I really encourage you guys to check them out. And when I say check them out, is, listen, these are two guys who was born and raised in the area, Kentucky, Ohio. They have vast knowledge of professional wrestling, especially Dwaylon Davis. He is a encyclopedia for when it comes down to professional wrestling. He knows more than actual wrestlers themselves half the time. It is crazy to see exactly the knowledge that he has and everything that he knows. And it's like, great, I get to go down, listen to him, pick his brain, see, get their opinions. And it's always, I love just getting hearing other people's opinions on a fan base. They talk to you guys as a fan base, and they have their own podcast show available on YouTube. Also on anywhere you get your podcast, called Armchair Booking. Their latest episode was just posted about 3 hours ago, called Wrestling Real Life Soap Opera. I saw the picture and I was assuming it was about the whole fight between the locker room with CM Punk and the Young Bucks. And it's just, at some point, it becomes a laughing stock, the way that they are handling, or the fact that they've had this altercation in the back, locker room area, whether it's for show, whether it's a serious thing. And it's just interesting to see how many people buy into it. And also, if this really maybe gets any heat or gets any help for fan base wise when it comes down to AEW. But go check them out. Give them a like, share, and subscribe also. If you guys are looking strictly into professional wrestling, that's Steve Barber, Dwayne Davis at Armchair Booking. I want to make sure just give them a shout out. And if you guys are in the area and you guys see them, don't forget to say hi to them. They're just regular people like you and I. All right. So we're getting right back down into football here. And I wanted to share with you before we talk about SmackDown, as we get ready for this weekend. There's a lot of things going on. I came across this list yesterday, and I wanted to share with you, hey, football season's back. Usually the month of September is the time where football and baseball kind of collide in regular season action, and there's a handful of players that played both ways, all right? So here is, according to the Game Day, this is according, Game Day MLB, these are the top 10 best baseball and football athletes. And so I'll just give you down the list. And I was actually looking through this list. There's a couple people that may not be on here. You let me know. But coming in at number 10, and if you haven't followed the GOAT's career, Tom Brady, back when he signed, came in at number 10. He signed with the Patriots, but also with the Montreal Expos. So on this list, he's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but it's coming at number 10 with the Buccaneers and the Montreal Expos. There's Tom Brady. Coming in at number 9 with the San Francisco Giants and the Detroit Lions, Golden Tate. Coming in at number 8, this is the top 10 for best baseball and football athletes. All right, two-way players. Coming at number 8 for the Texas Rangers and the New Orleans Saints is Jameis Winston. Russell Wilson comes in at number 7 with the Broncos and Rockies. John Elway holds the 6th position with the Broncos and the Yankees. With the Kansas City Royals and the Miami Dolphins is Dan Moreno. Number 4 with who is currently with the Arizona Cardinals and also signed with the Oakland Athletics is Kyle Murray. Number 3 with Notre Dame and Chicago Cubs is Jeff Samardzija. Can always never pronounce his name. At number 2, I think a lot of people remember, is Deion Sanders with the Atlanta Braves and the Atlanta Falcons. And at coming in number 1, I think everyone can name this one here. Kansas City Royals, Los Angeles, Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, however you want to consider it, is the Bo Jackson. And it's just nice to share the top 10 athletes that played both baseball and football at the professional level, or at least got signed. All right, let's take a break. Let's come back. Let's get you ready for SmackDown tonight. WWE is still making changes. Triple H has added some new people. It's trying to take, you're trying to see the fill-in places all take place on WWE. Braun Strowman's supposed to show up tonight and much more. We're taking you guys up until 11 here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All music provided on the Throw-In with Justin is given to you thanks to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. This one giving you to this morning is Sessa by Bonsai. all available on Epidemic Sound. And welcome back here. It is 10:41 as we take you up until high 11 o'clock, wrapping up the rest of the week here. And it's been a while since we really dived into the WWE, and it's been a while since we got into everything that's going on. One thing I was a little sad in this week, but listen, you got to move on to better things, is that we learned yesterday that Pat McAfee will be stepping away from the WWE and his duties for now, as he's joining ESPN's College Game Day as a full-time member of the show. So it's going to be, I'm a little disappointed. It took me to watching Pat McAfee on SmackDown to really understand what he does and what he's doing in the industry. And he really inspired, I think, me personally, as I was also creating this show, this program, this channel, to really just stick with podcasting, this show and whatnot. And I was a little devastated. I was a little hurt to hear, that he's going to step away. Now, he does, Pat McAfee does a lot of things. He was asked, he's had a really great career, or this year alone. He's had 2 amazing matches in wrestling. He's been a great commentator in wrestling. He's also done stuff for the NFL, for his YouTube channel, got Vince McMahon on. How often do you see that happen? And so for me, to see him step away, I don't like it, because I always enjoy, I'm one of those guys who has now gravitated to seeing an authentic reaction to what was happening. And whether it was true or not, he's always explained how he's always wanted the authentic reaction. So there was things that he didn't want to know, because he wanted to get his initial reaction to everything that was happening on SmackDown, in the WWE. He wanted to be surprised just like everyone else. And when you can come on, a wrestling program and just be as surprised as he is and have the energy as he is, there's no one else going to be like that. And there's no one else that you can replace him that's going to be jumping off of tables, playing the air electric guitar, just like Pat McAfee does. So it's a little, I know he's going on to better things. Hopefully this isn't the end. I don't think it is, according to what they've been posted. But, stepping away kind of hurts the motivation for SmackDown. Maybe it needs to die down a notch. The big thing coming out of SmackDown tonight, okay, talking about everything that's going on. Braun Strowman made his return back on Monday. He annihilated anyone who came down to the ring. And he's planning on doing the same thing tonight on SmackDown. And we're going to see how that turns about. Back at the Castle, Clash of the Castles, a lot of people predicted, a lot of people was telling me, hey, yeah, Roman Reigns is going to drop the title. Drew McIntyre is the guy. Well, obviously that didn't happen. It makes you question, it makes you wonder just who is the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns. And and that's the other question. When do you dethrone Roman Reigns? And is that dethrone, is that suitable? Does that need to take place at WrestleMania? Is there a specific athlete or superstar that needs to do it? And there's still the heaven talks about Roman Reigns and The Rock at next year's WrestleMania. Now, I've given you my thoughts and my opinion. I don't think whatsoever that The Rock and Roman need to have that title anywhere near them for that match. This is about, the tribal chief. This is about the bloodline. This is about who's in charge of the family. And at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with the WWE Championship, to be honest. And what you do by keeping the title on Roman Reigns longer and longer and longer, as with the guy who's already been established, who's already been the one that, who has marked himself. and sketched himself in history, is you're taking that away from someone else who needs the title because they need that push. And don't get me wrong, I love what I'm seeing with Bobby Lashley. I love what I'm seeing with Gunther, because that match at the Clash of the Castle with Gunther and Sheamus was hands down a brutal fight. And how often do you see just a unbelievable brutal fight in the WWE? The cage match is always nice to see on a Monday Night Raw. We don't see enough of those, at least not for what we used to see. And I mean, I like it all. I mean, I've been really enjoying the product as of late. It has made me feel comfortable and feel pleasured by watching WWE the last few weeks compared to tuning into AEW, where you don't know what the hell is going on half the time. It's a chaotic, it's a shit show in the in AEW. So when you can finally have some sort of clearance, when you finally have some sort of direction and path in the WWE, and you know what the type of product you're going to start seeing, it's kind of reassuring that, hey, as a wrestling fan, I'm not crazy, but I just wonder what the plans are for Roman Reigns. How are we going to get there? And is Braun Strowman that guy? I could throw out a million matches to face against Braun Strowman. You got Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. I think we've already seen that feud before. I don't know if we need to see it again, to be honest. But if anyone's going to knock out and thrown that person, Roman Reigns, it could be Braun Strowman. I mean, obviously, Drew McIntyre didn't do it, and he didn't get the job done. And it's funny because Karrion Kross tweeted, I told you guys it wasn't going to happen. You guys all believe that Drew McIntyre was the guy, and obviously he wasn't. And I'm actually excited because I hope, and I just hope, that becomes a few. I hope that Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre, I will love to see that match in that feud to happen. I throw out some matches for Braun Strowman, and a match that I really, really want to see between Braun Strowman. And a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind seeing this at WrestleMania for that championship if somehow somebody could get the title away from Roman, whether it's Braun Strowman or this guy. I wouldn't mind seeing Braun Breaker down in NXT come up and beat Braun Strowman or Roman Reigns. They're starting to reunite the bloodline, Solo Sikoa, and we knew this was going to happen. Okay, I think we knew this more than we knew Dominic and Rey Mysterio finally splitting, which I think that's the greatest thing that's ever happened to Dominic's career right now as of late. And I apologize; these morning allergies can't let me finish the show today, but. Overall, I think the point is what is the direction from Roman Reigns? I mean, realistically, if he hasn't been beaten now, do you really honestly believe that Braun Strowman is that guy? I know he's going to come in and throw establishment. He's going to run over everyone. He's a monster among men. I get that. Is he the guy? If Bray Wyatt comes back, is he the guy to dethrone? Because let's look at this. What Braun Strowman did on Monday, he annihilated people. He says, "Listen, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm better than you. I'm gonna walk through walls. I'm gonna just run you over, and it's gonna feel like you got hit by a train." He's gonna establish that sense of personality, the type of character he is, and the type of athlete he is. And when he does win that championship, then he's going to go on for a reign. It would be, you have to build somebody as if he can be beat. Okay. So, if, I know these are rumors until I see him in the, in WWE, that's what there is. But if there's someone like Bray Wyatt that does return, does he get the title? Because he is beatable. Braun Strowman right now is pursuing himself as if he's unbeatable. And when you do that, it makes it more difficult to find someone that can beat him. Right? There's only very few. You can't go weaker. You got to go stronger. And so there's very limited of people that are really has that stronger look than maybe Braun Breaker. That physicality has that, passion that could beat him. So, we talk about this whole championship and this whole storyline where that goes down. And I guess we'll find out more tonight as Braun Strowman, like I mentioned, is also expected to be for Roman, expected to be on SmackDown. Another guy for Roman Reigns. You got to figure out, okay, well, we do have what is it? What was the next pay-per-view that's coming up? You have Crown Jewel coming up here. And you're obviously gonna have Roman Reigns being in competition, okay, at Crown Jewel. You're also going to have, I'm assuming that's what you're leading up towards, and we'll find more out with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns for Crown Jewel, because that would be a number one main event match that people will want to see, right, that you haven't seen yet. And there's going to be listen, there's a lot of guys that Roman Reigns set up and he's going to set down, and we'll see how this unravels. But there's a lot of other things going on SmackDown that makes it exciting to watch. For example, Liv Morgan defeated Shayna Baszler at Clash of the Castle. Okay. And now the question is that does Shayna Baszler help? Does this realize that Ronda Rousey was right when there's no more killer instinct? Obviously, there's a lot of that going around. I just talked to you about Gunther, who really just chopped the hell out of Sheamus. This past Saturday, he likes the brawls. There was it was used into an Extreme Rules match. Listen, what's next for the Usos? Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah are the new women's tag team champions. They already beat Doudrop and Nikki ASH on Raw. Who's stepping up the champs? And this is what I want you to keep an eye on for tonight. So we have all this stuff going on left and right. We remember Ronda Rousey's immediately, after, she attacked Adam Pearce right after her suspension was lifted last week. Now she's officially back in action. All right. Who does she cross hairs? Does Ronda Rousey have a feud with Shayna Baszler? Is this the right time to have a feud with Shayna Baszler? Just people want to see that see that feud now. Could they even maybe team up with each other and win the women's tag team championships? That's something to think about. All right. The Viking Raiders also beating the New Day in a Vikings rules match last week. All right. Does the New Day come back around and have their run, and does does the New Day win? So that feud continues. Happy Corbin is a losing loser who loses. All right, that's the I think catchphrase for Happy Corbin right now. Obviously failing to Shinsuke Nakamura last week. Corbin ended the night by getting inside JBL's limo. All right. Is there a partnership going on? What do we see out of this? And listen, there needs to be a reinvention of Happy Corbin, right? I think this could be the one that turns things around and get that Corbin back that we need to see on SmackDown. So that's for me. I'm excited to watch out for. Okay. Plus, you're getting JBL back. All right. To see JBL back on TV. All right, let me put it to you this way. JBL back on TV, one of the most hated but appreciated heels in WWE to my knowledge. All right, there's no one else maybe than Roddy Piper, in my opinion, that could play the heel part better than anyone else and earn the respect that JBL has went through. All right, some point the Miz will get there. He's not there yet. Some point possibly MJF will get there. Not yet. JBL is one of the greatest guys I enjoyed watching, although I hated his guts each and every time. He played it so well, and that's what's gotten him going through, and that's what's bringing him back. And to see him now pair up with Happy Corbin, some guy who has the it factor. Right? Corbin has the it factor. He's a great athlete. He needs that extra push. He's not being used properly. Does this change him around? And this kind of, if you're asking me, all right, honest opinion, this is an opportunity to get out of the Happy Corbin gimmick. This is an opportunity to even go back to the lone wolf. All right. This is a chance to re-image himself all the way. Hit Row is a very good at humiliating. All right, the Maximum male models. I love to see the little comedy interaction there. Karrion Kross and Scarlett really enjoy messing with Drew McIntyre. Now, since the title picture is out of the question, do we see more of a one-on-one feud with Karrion Kross and McIntyre? I'm looking forward to that. As a matter of fact, that's a match that I'm looking forward to, maybe at Crown Jewel, even just a storyline on SmackDown. And that is what I think that's another thing too that I really have been enjoying about SmackDown as late. I think Raw is starting to get there, and that is basically the simple fact that there are storylines that are carrying the show through its capacity, right? So just because Roman Reigns is not competing each and every week, just because the Usos aren't competing each and every week, just because those main titles are not on the line each and every week, something I told you about when they united both of the championships at WrestleMania, is that you needed to bring up the Intercontinental title and the U.S. title, make all these undercard titles more important, and then what you really enjoy is that there's storylines beyond the championships, and they're actually storylines that make sense. Karrion Kross, Drew McIntyre. Of course, you're going to have comedies like the Hit Row and the humiliations. I think, the Happy Corbin and JBL, that doesn't need to be put on a pay-per-view, but I enjoy it because I'm tuning in. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, all of these storylines don't have to do with titles, but yet again, they're storylines that are starting to make sense. The one thing I will get out of is that just like the Usos, just like the New Day fought, Sheamus and his gang for a while, we're starting to see the Viking Raiders take on the New Day a little too long. So I think we need to work on the tag team division a little bit. But overall, we're seeing stuff in between titles, and that could be told on SmackDown at a pay-per-view. And you're actually starting to build talent, right? Karrion Kross is finally starting to actually has a real feud right now going on. And last but not least, I'll keep you off of this before I exit the show to this morning. Sasha Banks, Naomi expected to return. If so, when? Are they going after the tag team titles? Is it too soon to go after the tag team titles? And then last but not least, it's been a while since we've seen Charlotte Flair. So, let's not forget about her. This is that peak season. It's the fall season. It's baseball pennant race. It is NFL, college, high school football, wrestling, AEW Dynamite tonight, SmackDown tonight as well. A lot going on. Great time to be a sports fan, and great time to be talking all about that on our show. All right, that's all the time I have for you this morning. We will be back again Monday morning, 9 a.m. All right. I am working on trying to call a couple games on this channel this weekend. I'll try to let you guys know the best of as soon as possible. And I got some bad news. So throughout this show, like I told you that I recorded an episode of the Football Lodge with Justin, and I recorded the episode yesterday. I'm a little devastated because apparently my recording system was acting up. So it recorded, but never recorded the audio. So what we're going to have to do is start off next Tuesday as everything prevails. So at least yesterday on this show, I had my audio. I had all my predictions. Those never changed. My thoughts. The first episode went into detail about each and every division, and then it gave you my picks and all that stuff. So it was more of like an introduction. Stuff I've already said before. We'll come back on Tuesday and record highlights and actually make sure we're able to post that one up on the podcast. So look for that on Tuesday. I'll keep you guys posted up on that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm glad to be back. It's another week back, getting started again on a Wednesday and working our way around. We'll be back Monday. And gosh, let's go Bengals. Bengals win this weekend. Bearcats win this weekend. And the Reds win this weekend. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks to StreamYard and Epidemic Sound for making all of this possible. Give a shout out to Spreaker, who listens to us all, who lets us post all of our audio content on there for distribution on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, much more. And you guys enjoy your rest of your week, and we'll see you guys on Monday. You guys take care.